Today's episode is brought to you by Agrarius, a South African investor specializing in agriculture. Agrarius founders originate from the farming community and have experienced how financial markets don't understand agricultural sector needs. They have thus fundraised from JSE investors to make money work for everyone. Agrarius offers a wide range of solutions, be it working capital, new equipment, new plantings and farm purchases. Whenever there is business potential, there is a way to make it happen. Agrarius, fair funding for agriculture. For more information about funding options, visit agrarius.co.za, a product of 274 Investment Managers. An authorized financial services provider, 31045.
Good morning. This morning we have Jon Salters with us, who is a director of Berry ZA, and he is from United Exports, and he's going to chat to us about the amazing IBO Summit that we have, that South Africa is lucky to be hosting. So welcome, Jon. It's nice to have you here.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thanks for the welcome, and it's nice to be here.
So, what does it mean for South Africa to have the IBO Summit?
I'm just arranging some berries for us, so just give 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, we can wait. We don't mind when people arrange food for us.
Look, it's a huge compliment for Berries Today to have secured this. This event happens every 2 years. It's a independent industry body, and they move around the world where the momentum is on berries. So we would have been competing with something like Morocco, because they're fast growing as well. So prior to this, I think it was in Peru, and prior to that was in Poland. Both fast growing areas of blueberry production, but it's a huge compliment. I think when Berries Today, when they approached the board and asked us to consider hosting it here, we were pushed back quite hard, because our mandate as a board is to focus on things like market access and chemical registrations and things that actually benefit the local industry.
Yes.
To then have a conference is a distraction, and there's obviously financial commitments, but the team has been amazing. Brent Alzette have pulled off an amazing job, and together with him and the chairman, done a remarkable job. So we're delighted.
Yes, and we've just witnessed the opening ceremony and the opening address, and to have our Minister of Agriculture address the people, and to see this very diverse audience. I mean, there's so much energy in the room, and you can really feel that people are so excited to be here and to be participating. So well done.
The opening singer.
Yes, we had a praise singer doing a real nice African song, and I could see the audience was really getting into it, and you can see these people are excited to be here, and so well done for getting this amazing event here.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't appreciate, next week is an event called Fruit Attraction in Madrid, which is probably the second or third biggest fresh produce event globally. So to get people from Europe all the way down here for 2 or 3 days, and then all the way back and being out the office for 2 weeks, because that's what it really amounts to, is an amazing achievement. It's been oversubscribed. It was capped at 500 people. I think they had to get special permission to have more.
Wow.
And I don't know where we landed, but it was well over 550.
Yeah, I think somebody said this morning closer to 600.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Registrations.
Also, I mean, people love Cape Town. So I think the fact that does help that we were having it here and not in some other part of South Africa. But hats off to you guys for organizing it.
Has any of the international delegates that you guys know and work with regularly, have they been here before, in this week leading up to the event, so that they could go around a little bit? Or
Yes, yeah. We have, as United Exports, we have production in many parts of the world,
yes,
including Peru, Mexico, USA, Spain, Portugal, Australia, and we have probably, from all those countries, we have people here that are either growing with us or for us, and are or considering growing. And we've had, probably 8 separate, if not 9 separate grower tours happening between last week Saturday
wow,
and yesterday.
Wow, awesome.
Wow, I would imagine that keeps you busy. And what has been the response? What kind of comments have
Yes.
you had from people?
I mean, there's been a number of growers from Peru and some of our customers actually from the UK and Europe that have been out who come out regularly. And it was interesting. Obviously, they didn't come out during COVID for 2 years, and even after COVID, many of them had restricted travel budgets. They never came. So, I've only recently started coming in, and the comments generally have been they can't believe the quality of the farms, and they're just this massive improvement year on year. And
That's
so very
incredible.
complimentary, yeah.
You know, we live in the Western Cape and we drive around in the agricultural sector. And over the last 10, 15 years, you've just seen the blueberry production expanding. And also, now we know also it's happening in more of the northern parts of our country. So, and the fact that the consumption is still going, it just says that this is a product that people love and people love to
That was
eat.
the most interesting part of the opening part now, is that there's a specific segment in the market that's growing for premium blueberries.
Yes.
That was very interesting to me.
Yeah. So what's I mean, as Cord said, the data is the best we have. So we rely heavily on that report to understand the markets and the trends. But if you take China, so what we do know about China, the import data is very accurate. We know what's going in, what's being produced locally. We have a good handle on necessarily. We know we have what we have. But if you look at, come back to your point of blueberry consumption and the interest to consumers, if you look at China, 2012, the consumption per capita was near zero in China, same as India right now, as we stand today. And roll on, 13 years, China is now the second biggest consumer of fresh blueberries, second to the US, where blueberries come from.
Incredible. So
And-
that's been a huge success story to get them to eat.
Correct.
Did they look at a percentage for like what they said about in the US? Not even half of the population are consuming blueberries. Did they look at that for China?
So the four biggest markets. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for bringing us this.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is, we were talking about the premium genetics. These are premium varieties. So you can try these while we're talking, and
we
you
will.
can tell me.
Definitely will.
And
Well,
enjoy these.
you won't have to ask me twice. Thank you.
So the
We will just make sure everybody brings photos.
so what was the question was about did they
Did they look at the percentage of the
consumption for America?
of,
Yeah.
of the people from China consuming blueberries versus like what they just said about the US?
Incredible.
Yeah, so the typical metric you look at is consumption per capita, so half a kilogram, whatever. And I can't remember the numbers
Look at
exactly.
the size of that blueberry.
Lovely.
So-
Utterly magnificent. Wow, thank you.
Pleasure. So if you look at the consumption per capita, because that's really your potential market, if you like, the number one consumption per capita is the US. And I can't remember. I think it's 1.85 kilograms or something like that. Just 1.5 maybe. Second to that is on a per capita basis is the UK, then Europe, then China. Total volume is US, China, Europe, UK. Obviously, there's more people in those countries. So that's how you measure what the potential is. So China, of a zero base in 2012, is now number four in terms of consumption. It's not number 4 in terms of consumption per capita. It's the fastest growing, certainly, but it's the number 2 in total volume. So, it shows you the potential of the market. Another good example is Spain. I mean, Spain has been growing berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries for many years. And the blueberry market hardly existed in Spain. And in the last 10 years, it's been a fast-growing market on their doorstep. South Africa is no different. If you go back, South Africa 10 years ago, there was really one grower company that was growing very quietly and exporting to the UK. You saw a little bit on the shelves every now and then, very seasonal, very little fruit, and it wasn't the fruit that could be exported. Now, what you've got now is you've actually got all of the best genetics are planted in South Africa, the leading genetics at least, for export mainly. So 90% of what we produce, we export. So to put that in context. But we also have our local market has grown year on year and year, and it's getting stronger every year. We just, there's so much potential locally, and our consumers are spoiled, as you just tasted. We have fantastic product in this market.
Well, I
It
see
is
it. I see
utterly
it.
delicious. I just wanted to take the gap to say I'm going to keep eating these.
I've got
Fabulous, thank you.
three young kids, and there's blueberries in their lunch boxes almost every single day of the week.
And that's the interesting thing. So if you look at which commodities are not growing, so grapes have grown significantly. They've continued to grow. we've gone from a phase of seeded grapes to seedless grapes. You hardly find grapes with seeds anymore.
Yeah.
You've now got flavor profiles, and there's some debate whether it's gone too far. Some of these grapes are very, very sweet. Some palates like them, some don't. But if you look at the solid base, it's the reliable ones that are crispy, they're tasty, they have a good flavor, and every time, and consumers buy those. Grapes obviously are high in sugar, so that's where probably their downfall is versus blueberries.
Yeah.
Blueberries are a lot more, they're soft fruit, so they're not as resilient as grapes. We've got to be very careful with the cold chain. And I think but you've got no byproduct. You pick a berry, eat it.
Yes.
You don't have a stalk, you don't have a pip. So your cherries, you have a pip and a stalk. Stone fruit, you have a pip. Grapes, you have stalks. So there's nothing to throw away. And I think the big driver is the kids market, or
incredibly
lunchbox.
convenient.
younger generations. And in fact, we're talking to our colleagues in India now. India is where China was in 2012. We're very excited about the potential in India. And again, because their middle class is growing, the income per capita is growing. What is I going to tell you about the
India.
Yeah, they like sweeter fruit, obviously.
Okay.
So we see that potential of the growth in that market too.
So in China, with you guys being globally situated, do you have production in China?
We don't have our own production in China, no.
Okay. Is that something that you could consider for the future, or is it difficult to do that?
It's not easy necessarily. We will definitely do it. I mean, some of the bigger genetic companies are there. It's not without its challenges. The Chinese government about 2 years ago, have a new seed and plant law, which is plant breeder protection.
Yeah.
They realized that if they want to attract the best genetics, then they have to be able to enforce it. And there is breaches of IP, and China's not the only country. There's other countries, even within the European Union, that there are growers that steal the IP and don't pay the royalties. So it's a problem globally. I mean, it's not isolated China, but that's the challenge. You've got to have your eyes open to,
especially with blueberry, because you don't need a rootstock. It's a very easy thing to propagate. Going forward.
Yeah, you can
So
propagate easily.
it's technically something that could easily
from
be started.
one cutting and off you go.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow. But I mean, what you have seen, so the innovation you're seeing a lot of innovation in fruit now. As I said, you've seen it in grapes, and you'll continue to see the intellectual property enforcement getting stronger and stronger as well. Because countries realize, I mean, COVID has highlighted food security. We've got water, you heard it this morning, water issues, and we've got to produce crops that yield more with less inputs, better quality, better shelf life, and for the benefit of the food chain. So governments have realized they've got to protect the inventors of this IP and the people that invest behind it.
Very definitely. And I mean, the Chinese, the new regulation that you mentioned that has come out, you can see that they're really trying to catch up. And even what John Steenhuisen said this morning about that they're trying to open the markets for more and more of South Africa's fruit, but obviously that's happening on a broader level as well. So they really are working at opening things up. And I mean, IP, you see the draconian measures that are visited upon people who transgress on the whole IP thing.
Yeah.
So it's becoming don't even go there. Whereas 15, 20 years ago, people didn't worry about that much, but now it's definitely becoming, as you say, it's becoming more enforced, and people, they just don't get away with doing that anymore.
No, and also, I mean, retailers play a key part in that too. Retailers won't sell that product if they know it's illegally manufactured or illegally made, in the sense that the IP is not registered or legal, then they won't buy it. If they're aware of it, obviously.
So one of the things that's interesting about blueberries is that it's not really
good
branded in a shop. It's like they also said on stage now, it is blueberries are sold as blueberries, yet you've got these amazing things. Woolies locally in South Africa has got the flavor burst section, where they've got, and those are incredible berries. Are companies like Osblue looking at branding more of their fruit?
So it's a good question. So I mean, fruit is an interesting category, because if you look at retailers, they can't differentiate themselves other than price on things like Coke and Colgate and all the other consumer goods we buy. In fact, I heard recently that there's a big trend to white label people buying white label toothpaste, washing powder, and all those consumer goods because there's a lower price point, and
does the same.
and does the same job, and the retailers make more money. So there's that balance. When it comes to fresh produce, it's a lot harder to build a supply base. Farmers you can trust, knowing that they're producing it to the right standard, and agriculture is hard. You know, you can do everything right, and then you can have a weather event that can set you back completely. So they spend a lot of time, and it's the one point they can differentiate themselves. And I think you've seen it in this country where, I mean, Woolworths certainly led the charge. I mean, their fresh produce offer is amazing, but others have caught up. And you see the same in the UK. You can talk, everyone knows the Waitrose, how good their fresh produce offer is. So is Tesco's though. So they really are precious about their private label because they see it as a point of difference.
Yes.
But having said that, if we, as OzBlue, we'll only put something in this punnet with this brand on if it meets a certain specification. So it's not just size. Size is a criteria, not every market, but it is flavor profile. So which we measure with bricks and acid and tasting it.
Yeah.
And firmness, so the pressure, so you get the crunch and that, which is measure of shelf life, indicator of shelf life at least. So we look at, and then obviously defects and things like bloom. So we won't put it in a punnet unless it gives you that good eating experience, which I think I'm enjoying now.
It. Thank you.
For sure.
So in China, everything we sell is sold as OzBlue. In the US, 70% of what we sell is OzBlue. Australia, pretty much 90%. South Africa is probably South Africa's maybe, we co-brand it. If it goes into ShopRite,
I've seen OzBlue stickers.
Has an OzBlue sticker. Goes into Spar, has OzBlue sticker. So we get some brand exposure. And even in Europe, in Spain, it's fully branded. So we're seeing some retailers more open to it. If you look at some of the commodities they've got it right, Zespri on kiwi fruit, Chiquita bananas. There's Pink Lady on apples, which is really more of a quality endorsement, but it is a series of varieties. And then obviously from Berry's point of view, Driscoll's is the one that comes to mind, where they've done a really good job in building a berry brand. But the challenge has been which everyone knows is their blueberry offer, which they're improving. But when it comes to raspberries, there's nobody that can match them.
Okay.
But the short answer is yes, we see the value in that. We want, especially, sorry, I want to interrupt you. This category, it's still a high value product because of 50% of your input production cost roughly is harvesting. It's getting that off the bush. Everything's seen at one hand. All fresh berries pretty much around the world are still hand picked. Yes. The machine harvesting's coming, but it's in a market like this where we 3 weeks by sea from a destination, you still are going to have hand picked fruit. We don't see that changing.
And we've got the labor.
We've got the labor as well, which is important. So, I mean, for example, we employed 8,000 people just as United Exports in South Africa last year in our harvest period. That's a huge impact.
That's massive.
So we still see that as a big opportunity. I was going to say about lost my train of thought. I'll pick it up.
It's all good. I wanted to ask you, OzBlue.
Yes.
Is Oz AUS, is it Australia Blue, or is it just a chosen name?
No, so actually the breeding, the genetics come from Australia.
That's what I was.
So United Exports was founded by Roger Horrocks, who's a South African who moved to Perth as a 2-year stint to get a visa, and then ended up getting stuck there.
Okay.
Anyway, and Roger has he grew up on a farm, studied commerce, and then went straight back into. His dad said, "Don't go into farming," because his dad struggled with farming. First job he got was in farming, so he's been in farming his whole life. And so Roger's co-owns the genetics. And when they started this many years ago, they had Oz Peach because they had peach genetics, and it would become OzBlue. So that's the history of the name. When we started getting traction, he decided to test the name with quite a few customers and around the world. And the general consensus was that the Chinese say OzBlue. And we've just call it
OzBlue.
Yeah, so because their pronunciation and the phonetics of the way they understand the word. So we asked them, and they associated with Wizard of Oz. And so it's really the South Africans maybe and the British that will link it back to Australia, but that's it. So we've kept it. In fact, we've just launched our Chinese brand week before last in Asia Fruit Logistica, the show there, which is pronounced Lanyo, which is which means blueberry have it all.
Lanyo.
So it's easier to pronounce. It's got consumer appeal, and So we've done that there, and we'll look at other markets too, where we may have a phonetically appropriate brand name.
Wow.
But to answer your question, brand is important to us. What I was going to say earlier was the category. You heard from Court saying there's this premium sector. So
Yes.
the difficulty now, though, is you've got a lot of retailers that'll put anything on the shelf. They just want blueberries there. So as a consumer, you go and buy it, and you go home, and you got a poor experience. You'll stay away from the category for weeks.
Yes.
You pay a lot of money, you throw it away, it's sour, whatever, soft. And so we believe that the only way to elevate the category is we want to position ourselves almost outside of the category and say, look, if you see a punnet with this name on it, you're going to get an experience. And that's really our story and our mission. We'd rather go slower and get that right than try and be the biggest.
Yes, it's always the quantity versus the quality argument, and quality always wins.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially in fresh
especially
produce.
when it comes to here we're putting it in our mouth and
Yeah.
we're tasting it. Where does quantity go with that?
There's also, as that quote was on stage, if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Well,
With you guys being such a big international brand, do you have any advice for people coming into this industry that's thinking of new breeders, newer growers that want to come into this industry to not necessarily compete with you guys, but maybe to get up to a level of what you guys are?
Well, breeders are, I'm not sure I can add much there on the breeding side. I mean, breeders are special. Look, natural crossing, because it's all natural breeding.
Yes.
There is a lot of innovation through technology in that space now. So if you're a breeder and you're not looking to how technology can support what you're doing and accelerate what you're doing, because I mean, typical from a crossing taking place to the selecting that variety, and
It's
then
10 years, 10, 12 years.
12 years for fruit, 20 years for nuts.
Yes.
To give you an idea. So it's a lifelong work for a breeder. So that's why
To get perhaps one.
to get one racehorse. I mean, and I don't know the data now, but the last data I heard, if you take the raspberry category where Driscoll's built their business on, a variety called Maravilla, still to this day, 60% of what they sell is that variety. It's so good. There's been incremental innovation and maybe better flavor, but when it comes to all-round production and shelf life and consumer experience, there's nothing that probably ticks all those boxes as well as that does. So you've got that, and you see it often with products, especially on fruit. Something gets delivered and there's nothing that comes that's maybe better than that. But we do expect to see a lot of innovation in the blueberry space on the genetic side. But when it comes to other parts, I think you need to recognize what you're good at. We as United Exports, we have contract growers and they grow on behalf, and we sell the fruit. Okay. We don't believe. You have a lot of growers coming and say, no, they don't want to sell the fruit. So why do you want to sell the fruit? No, they want to sell the fruit because they want to build a brand, or they've got a brand, or they sell potatoes, and they want to. And it's almost like this. You need to take a step back and look at the business strategy. What are you good at? And we are growers ourselves. So if we can't make money on the farm, we won't plant it. It's got to make the farm sustainable. We've had a variety that the retailers loved it, we loved it, but we just didn't give yield, and it's pretty much pulled out everywhere in the world. There's a little bit left. Still, some growers have got it to plant it a bit more denser and making it work, but on its own, you have to have other varieties. On its own, it's not going to do the job. So, and we see again. I mean, I've only been in this industry 8 years. And I came in and I saw this frenzy in South Africa, and it was a bit like I said at the time, I likened it to Bitcoin. There's like this Bitcoin frenzy, people getting into it, not knowing what they were getting into.
Yes.
And we saw a lot of casualties along the way. We then had COVID, we had a port strike. So a lot of people have lost a lot of money in this country specifically, but I know of other countries too, same experience. So growers will plant something because they think they can rather sell it. But selling it is not easy either.
No.
You go to what do retailers want? I mean, so what we see in the retail, you're seeing every single country that's growing, who's got a growing economy, is moving towards modern trade. So formalized retail. So yes, you have spaza shops and bits and pieces, but even South Africa, I think, is about 70% modern trade now. 30% is informal trade. You go to India, I don't know what that split is there, but it's probably like 30% modern, 70% informal. But you've seen that growth, and we've seen this in China. China, when we started in China, 8 years ago, you were probably 90% of all the fresh produce goes through the three big markets, the fresh produce markets. It's now down to 60, certainly in blueberries, it's down to 65, 70. So a lot of direct to retailer, And what do retailers want? They want good quality, reliable supply, and obviously price. Price is, they'll pay a premium to make sure they get good quality and reliable supply because they want something on their shelves. Yep. So if you want to go into do business at Tesco as an individual grower, you've got no chance.
No chance.
They,
You're right.
They want growers that they can trust. They can say, okay, retailers will look at your business and say, we've the taste we're getting from that farm, there seems to be a problem. Don't know what it is, but we're not happy. So we'll take your fruit, but not from that farm. Or we don't like what's we think you need to do work on your ethical side, your housing, whatever it may be. Fix that, and we'll take fruit from that farm. So they manage their risk very, very carefully. So as an individual grower, you can't. You're better off looking for a program and a business model that you can plug into.
It makes 100% sense. Yeah,
wow. For sure. So you were talking about R&D and about how long it takes to develop a variety and all that. So it's so important for people to invest in R&D everywhere in the world, because the fruit we eat today, if you were to put down next to it the same fruit 50 years ago, it's just a completely different thing. And we don't know that because we've incrementally been eating better and better fruit or have had it available to us. But today's stuff is actually a bit of a modern miracle if you go and look at what these fruits looked like 15 and 20 or 30 years ago.
Even just if you talk of a South African context, we work in the fruit industry also. We get to taste the best of everything in the orchards where they are grown. And then you go to your friends and you say, I taste this. And they can't believe you. They can't believe you that there's a grape that tastes like cotton candy. Yeah. They can't believe that there's a blueberry that tastes so flippin' amazing. That's crunchy, that's sweet, that's everything. Because they're just used to the
and also
normal stuff.
It's being exported and they're not necessarily having access to it.
Yes.
But I was actually on my way to asking a question about the R&D, about blueberries originally, or maybe still now. They're very soft, very, very perishable fruit. So how has the continuum gone from you need to air freight to now it can go by ship? How's that changed over time?
So I can give you a little bit of history that I do understand, or that I have. But if you look at, you got rabbit eye, the original varieties, the rabbit eye. I don't know the technical names. You've got the wild blueberry, and you had what they call the northern highbush, which is a high chill variety. It needs a lot of cold. So fruit needs chill units, all of that.
Yes.
So it was in the late 70s that the University of Florida in the United States was able to get the northern highbush to fruit with less chill.
That's what's made the world difference.
And that became the southern highbush. And the southern highbush, there was then a lot of varieties that came out of that, open varieties from Florida University, from Georgia. They continued with some of the high chill stuff, but they produced the low chill varieties. The American business or farmers took that to Chile. And the Chilean industry built their blueberry business on that. So up until maybe 5-6 years ago, Chile was the biggest producer of blueberries in the southern hemisphere.
Yes.
They're now number 2, only just. They will fall down to they're dropping every year. Why? Because they've got old genetics. So the new premium genetics are just so much better. So Chile is interesting because south of San Diego, it's still quite cold.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of cherries, as you know.
Yes.
So there's still a fair amount of chill, but north of San Diego, it's warmer, so you can grow these type of genetics. And what happened then? In about the 80s, breeders, Osprey breeder, IBO on the Brodie on the east coast of Australia, 2 or 3 got material from Florida University, and they started doing breeding. So it all came from those original southern highbush varieties, and they produce what they call low chill. In some cases, we have zero chill varieties. They're evergreen; they just fruit the whole time. So you manage it through pruning, fertigation, all those things. So
interesting. So you're going to have a couple of crops in a year.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. So we have a variety that's completely kind of seasonal. We'll start harvesting in the second week of January.
Oh wow.
And it's the only ones in the market.
In South Africa?
In South Africa.
Oh wow. That'll be
We have
awesome.
a farm in Ramfontein that is 100% out of season January to May.
Fantastic. And is
Look,
that
John.
Exactly.
Is that for local
Good
market?
stuff. Thank you.
Does that come local market or export?
We initially did it only for the local market, but we do find export opportunities. But the local market is so short of fruit, of blueberries then, so the pricing is as good as export, and you don't have a supply chain risk and other things. So we sell most of it locally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's
Didn't know that.
so that's the innovation that you're seeing in genetics. But then what happened is the low chill and the zero chill varieties or evergreen varieties were then rolled out with companies like us, with MBO, and then you've had some new ones come along more recently. So that's really what's driven the change in that.
That's
So
fascinating.
now exports, are they mostly by ship freight?
Oh, so sorry, I didn't answer your question. So even when we started,
Okay, I'm happy to guide you back.
no, that's fine. When we started, our strategy was always the way the Chileans figured out. Okay, they had these southern highbush varieties that could grow in Chile, but they still needed to get them to the US. It was mainly the US to start with.
Yes.
And they had to figure out the shipping protocols, and it wasn't just that; it was post-harvest. So it was production. So they figured out the fertigation regimes, pruning. How do you manage the plant in production, post-harvest? Things like sulfur chambers and
Yeah, I was about to say at that time there probably was still a lot of fumigation involved.
so all of those kinds of things. A lot of innovation came out of Chile, and then they started exporting mainly to the US. They built amazing business on that. And then started they got access to China. I mean, Chile has access to more markets for blueberries than anyone else right now because of their history. I mean, they started in the 80s. So
They started almost first.
So they're still, and what you've had is growers there whose assets are paid off, who are still producing fruit, and they're still, the frozen market's growing. So they'll just put that into the processing market.
Wow,
But-
I wonder who that guy was that saw that gap in the 80s. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But so, and then when we started, we understood that you have to be able to, when we started here, so 10 years ago, maybe even, we were always here with stone fruit, but as a blueberry producer, the blueberries that were produced here by other companies were pretty much all air freighted.
That's
So,
where I'm coming
We
from.
started, I think the first year, 2017, we did 60% by sea, 40% by air. Still had some challenges though, because we were still learning. And we now work on, it depends on the market. If the market's short, there's more air freight demand. But generally, we will work on 80 to 85% must go by sea. And if you can't sea freight, you're not viable. So that comes back to your question about a grower wanting to get into it. I mean, growers will jump into something with not understanding.
Yeah.
Can the genetics actually do the journey? Can the blueberries do the journey? And
That's a very important thing. That's why when I asked about, because I know
Yeah.
initially they were air freighting, but the cost of that, and anybody's going to fight with you about carbon footprint and
Yeah.
air miles and all of that stuff.
Well, the cost-
So the fact that actually they've developed to the point where you can sea freight, then that's already quite a major revolution.
Yeah, it's a big change. So, I mean, Peru sea freight's 98% of what goes out of Peru is all by sea. So that is definitely the future, and we're not going back from that. The other important thing is R&D doesn't. Well, certainly we don't see. We say the genetics is 60% of the success. 40% is then things innovation in production, how you prune, excuse me, how you fertigate, how you manage the pest risk, etc. Then post-harvest, harvesting, and then your cold chain management and how you get that to market. So that there's a lot. We have an R&D team that covers the agronomy or production side, and R&D team on the post-harvest as well.
Wow.
Okay.
It's fascinating.
we-
We live in Woestyn. There's a big Osblue production right there, close
Yeah.
to where I live, and because I know the industry, I know the brand. I've seen it. It's interesting to listen and to learn all
Yes.
these amazing things.
Yes.
I haven't been on the farm yet to see how it's done.
You're welcome. We'll take you around.
Thank you very much. I think I want to ask you a question, or the other hat that you're wearing, and that is the Berry ZA hat.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Berry ZA, how it's developed. I mean, it hasn't been around as long as the other industry bodies, but it's certainly gained a lot of momentum. And I mean, here you are hosting an international event. So, what is okay? What's the purpose of Berry ZA, and how's it getting on? And tell us a little bit.
Okay.
Would you like to take a sip of water first?
Yeah. So I came back from Asia with a bit of a cold. So it's
The
gone.
last
but
time that happened was a problem.
it's gone now, but it's just the last lingering.
Take a moment if you.
Yeah, I'm good. So most organize, if you want to organize an industry, you need some representation. So to talk to government, you can't do it as a business. So you need that representation. So that's why Berry ZA was formed. there is actually a strawberry body, but it didn't. When they started it before my time, they didn't see the different. Strawberries is actually not a berry as such, but anyway, it's part of that berry basket. So blueberries, it's the berries that actually represent strawberries, blackberries, raspberries.
Yes.
Blueberries are the biggest part of that. So I say strawberries.
No.
Okay. So anyway, the mandate really is to do everything that benefits growers more than anything. We've extended that mandate to about 5 years ago. We said, look, while it's funded by growers mainly, it needs to look at the whole value chain. As I've just said, growing is only part of it. It's a very important part of it. You have to get the quality right in the orchard, but it's everything else. The ports need to work. The supply chain needs to work. You
have to get your crop protection chemicals registered. You have to get all of that kind of stuff.
Correct. So the mandate really of the Berries Today is market access. So I've been working really hard at that. You heard Jon Salters talk about it. So some exciting progress. We should have India done this year. Then there is things like chemical registrations and obviously biologicals and all those things. So we spend a lot of R&D with universities testing products and getting that process done. We might do some R&D outside of that too. Transformation, obviously, and then being the mouthpiece to government, engaging with government. So that's really the main purpose of it. It's not a regulatory body in the sense it's a non-profit, but like Citrus Growers Association. So as soon as you go over a certain size, the levy becomes mandatory.
Statutory. Yeah.
Statutory. Our levies are currently voluntary.
Oh, okay.
So we have a few. I don't know what to call them, but there's one or two big growers in the country that don't pay those levies, but they get all the benefits, which is not really. We're not comfortable with that. It's not really. And they do get the value. They'll argue they don't, but they get tremendous value.
Somebody will always say they're not getting the value, even if they are paying for it.
Yeah, I know. I guess you always have that.
Unfortunately.
Oh, well, thanks for explaining that, because Berries it's well established, and here you are. But I mean, for an industry that's quite young relative to many of the other South African industries, so well done on that. I mean, it's pretty amazing that we are here today at the event we are today.
Absolutely. I mean, you heard Jon Salters talk about some of the job numbers. So blueberries are one of the most efficient users of water. It's very compact. We don't need soil. We grow in substrates. We can grow them in most parts of the country. Biggest risk is weather like frost. But you can even to some point manage that. And then obviously we create more jobs per hectare than any other commodity by a long way. And the frustration in the industry has been that you've got these older commodities that have just got more established bodies, bigger war chests, and they do more heavier lobbying of the government. So he spoke about stone fruit getting access to China. China has a lot of stone fruit. They're one of the biggest plum producer in the world. So sometimes is the what's good for the industry versus what's good for the country. There seems to be there's a bit of a mismatch. But again, that comes down to government policy and
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But interesting to see how rapidly China is making things happen now compared to say 10 years ago. That there are there's access is happening. Seems to be happening quicker, which is good to know.
But
it's just been in the pipeline for long enough.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, it's been 8 years since.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
8 years.
We've been at it for 7-8 years, maybe 7. But I think China's has been part of the process is different, but so is ours. And I think, unfortunately, one of the positive outcomes with this nonsense from the US has been our government realizing that actually they have to look for other trading partners. So there's been a wake-up call there for sure.
Very definitely, and you see it with the other commodities. I mean, we work across all the exports, and everybody's very excited about both India and China. So, good news.
I know we've got a bit of a schedule to keep, so let's wrap it up.
Have you?
At the end, we ask a question. Somebody else gives us a question.
Random question.
You can think of something now. So the question is, we're not going to tell you. We'll tell you afterwards who asked it.
Okay.
What is your favorite and least favorite part of working in the agri industry?
What is my favorite and least favorite? I'll tell you. My favorite is probably just the impact we have on the country, be it the environment, be it the positive impact you can have, be it on job creation. I mean, it's. I had no idea. I'm an engineer by profession, but worked in data and research for consumer research for most of my career, and then more on the technology side. But so I'm fascinated about the amounts of science and detail that goes into producing food at scale, and we take for granted, how this arrives in your hand. So I love that part about the industry. It really excites me, and good people. I've heard a few people say that some of the best friends and people they've met is in the fruit industry, and it's true. There's really a good food industry's got a really good base of people, and it might be that ethos of farming and coming out of the farming. But I really enjoy the impact side of it, and the impact, the difference we can make to communities, to people, to the planet. The least favorite, or probably the most frustrating part, if I say, is that I think there's a lot of IT vendors that take advantage of growers. Growers are not technical people, technology type people. They're technical people in growing, and they get sold snake oil. They buy software that costs a fortune. It does half the job. They just it's not the only industry, and there's a lot of stuff out there. It's just I think the pace of change with technology in this industry is too slow.
Okay, it's too slow.
It's too slow. Interesting. Not in every category, but certainly.
Yeah.
If you look at row crops like wheat and maize, I mean, they're way ahead. They've been using satellites for donkey's years on a whole lot of things, and they're really advanced. They've got robotic tractors. There's a lot of stuff happening. Comes to things like the fruit industry, to way behind.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much, Jon, for joining us. It's been very interesting.
It was fall in and get it go quickly.
Yes, it
but
was kind of, we
good.
started on a bit of a crazy note, but thanks for coming.
Pleasure.
And thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, and the very best of luck. Thank you for those delicious blueberries.
Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.